Yo, so we got a few minutes. I want to talk about some hot topics, man. Lately, man, we got in the news lately was 50 Cent, and he came out to talking about voting for Trump because of his taxes. And what do you guys think about his statement? And to me, it was a selfish statement. But what do you guys think about what he said?
He's a selfish dude, man. You know what I mean? But we always knew that about 50. He never had to be anything else. He never promised or portrayed to be anything else. He's self-interested. And I mean, to me, there's a school of thought that should be like, listen, if everybody voted in their own best interest, you know what I mean, it will be a lot more clear. You just have to be clear about what your self-interest is. Now, he's obviously not an ally, so I can't fool with him past his politics, you know what I'm saying? But you know, you can't listen, you can't argue too much with it. All you can do is just, you know, acknowledge it, say, okay, all right, no, it is what it is, you know.
Well, let me say this. I have to say this, and I know this is gonna sound foul coming from New York and being born in Queens. I'm tired of 50 Cent. I'm not even about this, just in general. I've never seen a person, this is just my own opinion, who is so afraid of being irrelevant that every week doesn't go by. You know, I looked at his trajectory. He comes out with a classic album, his first one out of the gate, and it's tough when your first album is your best album. He comes with this, and after that, think about it. His music has always declined. He's never reached that level again, of course, but he constantly just wants to be, I think he'll say anything. He's just the world's greatest antagonist. And I mean, to me, you know, if anybody makes their decisions based on what 50 Cent is saying, or any entertainer for that matter, nobody cares about your politics because it's just your politics. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, if you are a multimillionaire, then it would behoove you to vote for whoever will protect your taxes, except for the fact that if you have a fan base of people that supported you and you know their struggle and you know how they have been, you know, systemically oppressed and things like that, you wouldn't make a statement that irresponsible. Yeah. And I know a lot of it is tongue in cheek, the whole, I don't care if he hates black people and all those different things like that. It's just irresponsible and it just looks bad. So one week you out at Burger King handing out hundreds of dollars to teenage kids, and the next week you're talking about, you know, whatever, no different than the drug dealer that used to buy basketball uniforms for the kids in the neighborhood. It just doesn't add. And I'll just say this, 50 Cent to me will do anything to be discussed. He'll do anything to be relevant. And I'll be real with you, I'm surprised because dudes don't usually act like that. Like a lot of men don't act like that. And I just had to self-edit myself, but yeah, the average dude, I don't know a lot of dudes that just spend this much time worried about everybody else and always interested in just, you know, trolling people. I don't know dudes like that, but that's what it is.
Yeah.
Some people say that, you know, go ahead, Rod, go ahead.
No, that's just all I was going to say is basically, I remember when I first heard about it, I was wondering, is 50 Cent doing this to, like you say, to stay relevant? Because, you know, he is notorious for doing that. The other thing is, I think I said it before in the other segment, I said we all might be in the same game, but we wearing the same jersey. Yeah. You know, 50 Cent is rich. The tax cuts and stuff benefit him long term. But the thing is that bothers me about these guys is that they are first generation millionaires. They shouldn't be that detached from the hood. You know what I'm saying? They've been poor before, so they should understand. They should have a little bit more sympathy instead of just worrying about themselves and their pockets. And let's face the facts. Even if they took, well, I think he was saying that it was 62% in New York, where the reality of it is, if he's got a good accounting or whatever, they're gonna find deductions and write-offs to help 50 Cent with his taxes and stuff. So he won't be paying.
All he needs to start donating a little bit more so he can write off some stuff on the side.
Right. The thing is, you know, with rich people, they maximize their deductions, and that's basically all they're gonna have to do. Because what? Okay, let me ask you everybody over 400,000. Everybody over 400,000. Biden said he's going to tax at a higher rate. Correct?
Something around that number.
Yeah. So the thing is, people over 400,000, they're just going to maximize their deductions. You know.
Well, let me ask this question: if a person is 20 years old, what do they know 50 Cent has?
The show Power and Power.
Yeah, Power.
Somebody said nobody's gonna stop watching Power. Like I think the shows became trash. So like,
well, first of all, let me say this. I'm gonna just be honest with you, and I don't know what the viewing public perceives me as. Maybe I look like, I don't know, a dude that's disconnected. I watched that. My niece asked me to get stars for Power when it came out. I saw an episode. I think I watched one episode, which is one more than I watched, I think, Empire. I got through half of that. But the episode of Power that I watched, the DA was dating the biggest drug dealer in the world, and everybody knew it but the DA. That was my first and last episode of Power right there. And the writing was so horrible. And everybody thought it was Shakespeare in the Park. And I'm like, y'all looking at this like it has some type of profundity. This is absolutely ridiculous. So I guess I shouldn't say that publicly. I thought the show was just terrible. I thought it was just very, very weak. And it bothers me. I'm gonna say this, and I mean this. From Tyler Perry to 50 Cent, whoever, they make too much money to have this level of writers working for them. Really, to me, you just throw anything at the black community and we just supposed to accept it. They could do better than that. And Tyler Perry know he wrong. And let me tell you something. I am a Christian and I go to church. I get no entertainment out of watching the church ladies with the hat and all every stereotype and all that stuff like that. You can see that on a Sunday. And so I know he's made $1 billion doing it, but they could write better than this. Really, they could. Writing should challenge you, make you think of something, stretch it. But the usual stuff, I mean, it's the same shtick to me. But yeah, I just, the reason I asked what you would think of him, because Get Rich or Die Trying, I think, dropped in 2003. And so he's not known for the music, and I think the music couldn't sustain him. I think what happened was 50 Cent had a great story, and that was getting shot and surviving it. And then after that, it wasn't of interest, so it just became this thing. He, you know what it is? He's the Reggie Miller looking for a Spike Lee. That's why you notice every single time he tried to drop an album, One Promise at a Time, with beefing with Cameron, and then the first thing was Ja Rule, and so his formula was the Ja Rule thing and Murder Inc. thing made him big. He could never find that again, and that's why for years he antagonized Jay-Z, and Jay-Z would never bite. He always wanted to get in something. He used to call Jay-Z everything he could call him, and he would just never bite. Because if you're not on that person's level, they shouldn't reach down to you and help you. Why would they?
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
That's real talk. Yeah. So we had Diddy also talking recently, like, talking about the racism and all that kind of stuff like that, and I think it's gonna be a race war. And before he's like holding back your vote. Any thoughts on what Diddy said over this last week?
What did he say about holding back the vote?
Like before, it's like, same thing was on the Ice Cube thing, like, hold back the vote, make them earn your vote, stuff like that. Now I could dig that. But then he also was talking about getting prepared for like the race war, and if Trump doesn't win, and all
let me just say this, and I know I've spoken more than I spoke in previous episodes, but I just had to get this off my chest. This idea of holding back the vote. So let me ask you a question: what's the alternative to that?
There is.
This is the way I look at it. So, and I want to pose this question to you all, and I've been saying this and thinking this a lot. So you have two choices here, okay? In my example, my hypothetical, you have two choices. One of these two people are going to be elected. The first person, their platform is, if they get in office, they're going to punch you in the face 100 times a day. The second person, if they get in, they're going to punch you in the face 50 times a day. Now, you say, you know what? I don't like either of those scenarios. Which one are you going to vote for? You say, I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'll just let it go. Whichever way it comes out, I'm fine. Which way are you going to vote? Which way are you going to go?
But see, that's the key. You have to feel like, if you feel like you only have those two choices, then you're going to choose the lesser of two evils, which is the 50 times. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But when you say I'm not going to vote at all, now you rolling the dice.
Sometimes if there's a time to roll the dice, sometimes, you know what I mean? According to people. So, listen, I think Diddy, what he can do, the best thing I heard from him was when he was saying that starting another political party. That was the best thing that came out of that conversation for me. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, cool. He's one of those people who could legitimately start a new political party. And that party could maybe explain things or explain the issues or whatever to people. You know what I mean? And you can kind of start from there. You know what I mean? But but listen, I didn't know there was this many Trump supporters in our community.
Derek, let me ask you this question, and you may not know the correct answer. Is Faith Evans rich? Is Mace rich?
Nah.
It's made for. In other words, everybody that's been associated with Bad Boy work at my job. Okay. At the end of the day, I'm saying. At the end of the day, this idea, I don't know how people just get nominated to be black leaders or something like that. Because at the end of the day,
but you just said it. They got nominated.
The way he managed, but I'm saying the way he managed his company and his people and the backlash from a lot of things that he did and the way he treated people, I mean, it just looks bad. It just does. What makes you trust this person? That's what I'm saying. What makes, I'm not saying that you do, but I'm saying what makes us, you know what I mean? I saw when they did the Grammy thing and Puffy got up and he was like, it stops right now. All of this stuff stops right now. Y'all cheated Michael Jackson, y'all cheated Beyonce, and they did. But at the end of the day, these industries that you've been in bed with, both literally and figuratively, all right, edit that part out. I'm sorry. What I'm saying is this: at the end of the day, you made money from these people, and then you want to come in front of your people with this stance, and it just doesn't seem believable to me. It just doesn't.